This segment involves a little bit of a recap. We obviously remember on Wednesday we covered the protest at Bernie Sanders' office by Code Pink. That was in response to this Bernie Sanders tweet. Largely, I look forward to seeing Congress provide in the very near future financial support for Ukraine, which is valiantly struggling against Russian aggression. Okay, we covered all this. This is just a quick refresher course because this is kind of a sequel segment, if you will. So Code Pink showed up at Bernie's office, and Bernie's staffers had them escorted out by the cops. They got booked, and they got released later that day. And upon their release, Marjorie Taylor Greene caught up to them and tweeted out the following, along with a photo with some of these peace protesters. The war in Ukraine must end. Today I met brave Code Pink activists who protested for peace in Bernie Sanders' office. He had 11 of them arrested. Peace and free speech shouldn't be a partisan issue. We don't agree on most things, but we do agree Congress should stop fueling the war in Ukraine.
It's like a photo from a 50 Shades of Grey book club meeting.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. You show up to Bernie Sanders' office because he is ostensibly the politician who is most accountable to your movement, because he's the politician who you are most aligned with, and his staffers have you escorted out of the building in handcuffs. Then you run into Marjorie Taylor Greene. She tracks you down and asks for a photo. So what better way to make the point, hey, where they're protesting, we can't control which politicians like us and which politicians don't, how people react. And so nothing at all to apologize for, neither on Marjorie Taylor Greene's part or on Code Pink's part. However, Code Pink must have gotten a flood of emails from their dysfunctional lib moron donor base. And yes, I'm sorry, I have to go there because this is absolutely fucking pathetic. They put out, there has been some confusion. So this was the next morning. There has been some confusion about an image that was taken with Code Pink volunteers and Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. MTG opportunistically approached our volunteers in a parking lot on the Hill, and she requested they take a photo together. What do you mean opportunistically approached our volunteers? What the fuck? I mean, sorry. Fuck you.
Who posed and smiled for a camera.
Right.
I know she's a big supporter of the Second Amendment, but I am not under the impression that she was armed at the time that she asked to take that picture.
Right.
So what the fuck are you talking about?
Right. What? She didn't compel. Right. What? She exhorted them into taking a picture? Them. Right. No. It was obviously a consensual event there. Right. They go on. Our volunteers weren't sure how to respond and immediately reached out to us about what happened after the fact. Yeah, they looked really nervous in this picture here, right? They immediately reached out and said, hey, Medea, we have a huge problem here. Huge problem here. A politician with national name ID took a picture with us and tweeted out something nice about us, which is 100 times what fucking Bernie Sanders did to us. He put us in fucking jail. Right? So the good progressive who we came to lobby because we thought he may be susceptible to our message, he had us thrown in fucking jail. And then we had this other politician, the icky one, the right wing, the MAGA one. She came and took a picture with us and tweeted out something nice. This is an emergency. What do we do? This is a PR disaster. They tweet out, we will continue to organize against war and demand our resources be reinvested into human needs like housing, universal health care, and education. There is a difference between being anti-war and not wanting funding for Ukraine war. To be anti-war, you must be an internationalist. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Let me just ask, to be anti-war, you must be an internationalist.
Like Bernie?
Yeah, exactly. I would have something to ask you here, okay? What accomplishments can Code Pink point to that would give me confidence that they know what constitutes real anti-war activism? Notice I said what accomplishments, not how long you've been doing this, because I know people are going to come at me for this. How dare you criticize Code Pink? They've been at this for 21 years. Okay, fine. To what end?
Maggots.
To what end? To what end? What have they actually accomplished in those 21 years? And I'm a reasonable person. By accomplished, I don't mean which war have they ended, right? I'm not saying that because they didn't get the government to pull out of Iraq, that they are a failure. I mean, for example, let me ask a question here. What politicians have you sent to Washington that represent your views on matters of war and peace? It seems like Bernie Sanders was the guy you thought you had in there, and even him you didn't elect there. He was in Washington before you even formed as an organization. They date back to 2002. So what have you actually gotten done? How far have you actually moved the ball down the field in terms of advancing an anti-war agenda? What have you gotten done to the point where you can lecture people on what constitutes being actually anti-war? Well, Marjorie Taylor Greene's not really anti-war. She's anti-Ukraine war. She's anti-this war, which is 100 times what I could say for Bernie Sanders. So why are you embarrassed to have appeared in a photo with someone who's doing exactly what you want in that situation, which is grabbing you, talking to you, and tweeting about you in a positive light, even adding you in the tweet, maybe getting you some exposure to a new audience of followers, a new potential base of supporters that you don't normally reach. Why? Because you're a bunch of dysfunctional, neurotic liberals who deliberately isolate themselves in a political corner and do not appear before any of these other types of audiences. So what the fuck is the problem? What is the problem? The problem is a lot of these organizations are cosplay organizations, as Russell was saying. They exist to exist, whether it's Code Pink, whether it's the Green Party. They have bases of support. And once they hear it from the people who write them checks, they feel we had to apologize. How fucking dare you apologize for appearing with Marjorie Taylor Greene in a photo? You should be doing the exact opposite. You should have retweeted that photo, and you should have said, shame on Bernie Sanders for being out-lefted by Marjorie Taylor Greene on World War III. That's what you should have done if you actually were serious about being anti-war. Okay, let's see some reactions. Jimmy Dore says, I would unite with anybody to do right and nobody to do wrong. That's a tweet from, that's a quote.
Yeah.
That's a famous tweet by Frederick Douglass, though. That's a quote from Frederick Douglass. Be more like Frederick Douglass and less like Code Pink. There goes Jimmy once again quoting dead white men like Frederick Douglass, you know. I don't know when that guy's going to learn. Courtney Conover, I thought I'd give you a little shout out here. Courtney is a fan, friend, and supporter of the show. I'm a real anti-war
she bought
activist.
The cowbell.
Yes, she bought the cowbell. Exactly. I'm a real anti-war activist. This is her after the Trump indictment, right? 2024 White House crossed out prison, walking around the big loser banner. There's Medea Benjamin. And here's what I tweeted. 8 Republicans accomplished more in the past week for the anti-war cause than your entire organization has in its 21-year history, and yet you're acting like you know what it really means to be anti-war. Laughable and pathetic. I stand by that 100%. Stand by that 100%. And I know it's harsh because I know Medea Benjamin has a lot of supporters, and I know she does a lot of legwork and a lot of groundwork, but I'm sorry. This is fucking bullshit. This is fucking bullshit. This is why you fail. This is why your organization has fuck all to show for itself after 21 years in existence. Because not only are you unconcerned with making a broad impact, you're averse to it. The fact that Marjorie Taylor Greene gave you a good publicity quote should be something you tout from the rooftops, and you use it to shame the politicians who you thought were on your side, but aren't. You don't have anybody in Washington on your side because you suck shit at organizing, and that's the fucking truth. I know you have good intentions. Fine. But these are very serious times right now between the 2024 election coming up where there are actual opportunities for third parties to actually make a difference. And we see Cornel West and the Greens just totally shitting the bed. And now you have Code Pink protesting the war, getting arrested outside of progressive Bernie Sanders' office, and then disavowing Marjorie Taylor Greene for actually paying them a modicum of fucking respect.
I mean, that said it all, those things happening one after the other.
Exactly. No one's home here. Who's driving the car here? Nobody. It's pathetic. There has to be direction. There has to be precision. There has to be execution. There has to be some sense of strategy and building of forward momentum. And instead we have virtue signaling bullshit from do-gooder organizations like the Green Party and Code Pink.
Yeah, there's always been a certain amount of this in NGOs, non-governmental organizations, not-for-profits. There's always been a certain amount of building a career off the fundraising so that the fundraising becomes the point in the end, so that there's no real motivation to actually solve the problem that the organization is ostensibly supposed to be about. Um, so I think you have some of that going on here. You know what it reminds me of? When you work in like, independent theater, you have all these theaters where, or you used to anyway, where everybody knows everybody and everybody knows who the artists are on the circuits and they're doing their shows and, 25 people see them. But people just like being a part of that, right? And so they talk, oh, did you see the show that Jason did? Oh, it was brilliant. You have to see that. And, it's not reaching anybody beyond like that little crowd. But they don't really care because they like the lifestyle, right? Now, that is harmless. That's like being into the hammered dulcimer, right? Who cares? That's, live your truth, whatever. This is serious. These people are not dealing with their deconstructionist Hamlet. They're fucking, dealing with matters of World War III. And it's unfortunate that you have clowns like this who don't understand the idea of coalition building leading the way. And this is an infectious idea that has really spread throughout our politics, and to be fair, not just on the left, but on the right too, as we just saw with the Kevin McCarthy thing. The idea of working with anyone who disagrees with you on anything has become anathema to a lot of people, right? Like, you just absolutely cannot work with anyone who codes culturally in a way that you don't like, or that the question often comes up, well, would you vote with a fascist to increase the minimum wage? Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Would you work with a fascist group that wanted to come out and support a higher minimum wage? Yeah. I'd argue with them about what I didn't agree on, and I'd work with them on what I did. And for a lot of people, that they can't wrap their heads around that. Look, FDR passed the New Deal
if I could just, sorry,
by working with, let me finish.
Sorry, all right, go ahead.
FDR passed the New Deal working with a lot of loathsome people whose views we would find abhorrent, right? I mean, that's fucking how it works. And when you're talking about World War III, who cares? Who cares? Especially when the institutional so-called left is all in on World War III.
Yeah, more like Code Blue, which is another thing that I tweeted out. Why couldn't you, if you wanted to clarify to your liberal base with, yes, shit lib sensibilities, right? A lot of these people are left wingers with shit lib sensibilities. And I'm sorry, if you're triggered by a photo with Marjorie Taylor Greene, you are a shit lib at heart. Yes, you are. Yes,
like,
you are.
Why would you not work with her on this one issue?
Why the fuck would you think
disagree with her on other
apologize
things?
For this? How stupid do you have to be? How fucking stupid do you have to be to think it is necessary to apologize for this? You should have tweeted out the exact same thing that she tweeted out. Hey, we disagree with Marjorie Taylor Greene on almost everything but this. She's correct. Peace and free speech shouldn't be a partisan issue. And tag Bernie Sanders, AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar. Tag all of your quote-unquote progressive allies in Washington and say, aren't you ashamed that you guys had us booked and she took a photo and complimented us? That's how you use an opportunity like this.
Well, not only that.
Weak bullshit with the, she's a Trump or MAGA fascist. Fuck you. Fuck you. I'm so sick of this bullshit. Sick of this bullshit. No time for this bullshit. This is just ludicrous. It's absolutely fucking ludicrous. Ludicrous. You are, as Nick Cruz would say, and he might not say this about Medea Benjamin, so I won't put words in his mouth, but I will borrow his phrase, deeply unserious.
Deeply unserious. Building on what you're saying there. Okay, you want to talk about how you play politics? Not how you play politics if you want to maintain good relationships with your rich Democrat buddies, which I'm sure most of these people have, which is part of where their limitations come from and who they will and won't pose with and why they felt a need to disown this picture so quickly. But if you want to talk about politics, you actually want to get something out of these scumbags, the AOCs, the Bernie Sanders, cozy up. Cozy up to Marjorie Taylor Greene. Make it clear, well, if you guys don't want us,
right?
They seem to.
Right.
Maybe we need to give them our support.
Exactly. We're here for the cause. We're not here to simp for any politician. We're here for the cause. We show up to Washington, D.C. We're here on a mission. Some people are going to reject us. Some people are going to embrace us. We're open to anyone who wants to take us seriously, and anyone who wants to throw us in fucking jail for peacefully demonstrating outside of their office can go to hell. That's what you say if you're serious.
Right. But they're not.
Please clap.